In the last stream, we were working on upgrading our automation for the processing of iron ore and copper ore. We started to use our external heaters here, pulling power from our water wheels to fuel all of our furnaces without the need for actual fuel. And at the end of the last episode, we were working on a brand new underground rail network here to allow us to take all of the copper and iron ore that is being mined by our copper and iron burner drills, bring those around over to their respective stations here. We have one for copper and one for iron, and at those stations the cart is then emptied, all of the ores go down into their associated drawers and then get pumped up and around into their respective furnaces to be smelted into ingots. Now, what I have gone ahead and done between streams is I've added one more cart to the mix, so there are now two carts going around here. And the reason for that is that, as I mentioned at the end of the last episode, the first cart that we set up last episode doesn't actually fuel the drills. And so right now, all of our drills don't have any fuel in them, and so the cart that collects the ores isn't collecting any ores because the drills aren't doing any mining. So what I have gone ahead and done is around here, I have added a second station. So I was trying to stop him, but that's fine. So previously, there was only one station, and that was this station right here, which is refueling. So this is where the carts come in order to refuel their internal engine, which is what allows them to keep going around without any powered rails. What I've gone ahead and done here is I added a second station. This one is called coal pickup. And so I'm going to stop this cart real quick. This cart here, yes, this is the new cart that I've added. So what I've done is we have up here our auto workbench. That is crafting all of the coal that we're creating with our coke oven system upstairs, and that's crafting it into tiny coal. That tiny coal is then being round robin distributed between this drawer and this new drawer right here. And then when this cart comes around and goes here, this cart hopper is set to put the tiny coal into its inventory and not into the engine. So this cart puts the tiny coal into the engine to allow the carts to keep going. This one puts the coal into the cart inventory, because what we're then going to do is if I go all the way around here to the iron pickup point, that's this one right here. Previously, we just had this top system. This takes all of the iron ore out of the drill, places it into this chest. The ores are then deposited into the cart as it comes around and dropped off, of course, over there for processing. But what I've gone ahead and done is I've added a second cart hopper here. This one is going to have another drawer beneath it, like this. And essentially what we're going to do here is the cart that I've just stopped, and I'll go and get it going again in a second, but the cart that I've just stopped is going to come around, it's going to drop tiny coal into this drawer, and then that tiny coal is going to be extracted out of that drawer, always active, up and around into the iron drill. And I have gone ahead and run the ender rail conduits all the way up, and they're connected to the iron drill, and so all the coal there will make its way around. One thing that I am going to do here is I'm going to actually put a storage downgrade into that storage drawer, just so that we don't end up storing a ton of coal in that drawer for no reason. Because right now it can store up to 2048 tiny coal, which is a lot of coal, and it doesn't really need to hold that much coal. There's going to be a stack in the drill at all times, and then if we make a storage downgrade, which we can find over at storage drawers, that's this one right here. It's 2 flint, 6 sticks, and 1 upgrade template. We do need some flint, but we can craft that with gravel. We do need some gravel, but we can craft that, of course, with our hammer. And so if we do something like this, and like this, we get our storage downgrade. I am actually going to go ahead and make a second one of those, because we're also going to need to do the exact same thing for the copper setup as well. And by the looks of it here, we also need yet another upgrade template. That is fine. And we also need a few more sticks as well. That is not a problem. Boom and boom. So if we head on back down, we can drop that storage downgrade into the drawer that's going to hold tiny coal. And then I'll talk about how this new system works, because we now have a couple of loops involved and some pretty cool stuff with the signals mod. So right here, we're going to drop in the downgrade, and the tiny coal is going to come in. It's going to get sent around. That's going to be good. Any coal that is left in the cart is, of course, going to go all the way around to the copper pickup point. So again, over here, exact same thing. This one is connected up at the top there, so we can just run these item conduits all the way down and around to here. I do need to dig out a bit of space, because I do need to make sure that I set this to extract. So once again, we're going to put down another storage drawer, which I actually do need to go craft first, and then we'll put the storage downgrade in there, and that should allow the copper drill to receive tiny coal. So the way this works is pretty nifty because the signals mod allows the minecarts to kind of change the direction of tracks. What you'll notice around at the front here is that we have this little extra bit of track right here. And the way this works is that, of course, we have our block signals here, and right now there is a cart stopped in this section of track, which, if we look here, is the dark green section, and so this cart can't go forward because there is already a cart there. If we look inside of this cart here, what I've done is I've told this cart to go to coal pickup, which is the station at the back, this one here. Then it's going to go to iron pickup, which in this case is actually it dropping off coal for the iron drill. Then it's going to go to copper pickup, it's going to do the same thing again, and then it's going to come back to refueling, which is this one here, and refueling is actually where it's going to go next. And this is where it's interesting, because if we go ahead and let this go, and you'll see it does have a lot of coal in it. If we let it go, it's going to go to refueling. It doesn't need coal, so it's going to go right past. At the bottom here, it's going to actually change the track and go left instead of right, because it needs to go to this station here. Perfect. Again, it is kind of full there, so it's fine. The reason it stopped there is that there was a cart in the main line, and I think I might have blocked it a little bit, but it should get going again. There we go. But this time it should go right instead of left. And it does, nice. So this cart track can actually be changed depending on where all of the carts want to go, and the cart that we just added sometimes does a bit of a loop back around this way to get to that second station that it needs to go to, which is perfect. So that is all working and has been working for a little while here. We should, if we go back up now, be able to see that, hopefully, coal has been placed, or tiny coal, I should say, has been placed into the iron drill, and so we should now once again be making iron from that iron ore. Let's go check. Yep, it is spinning, and as you can see here, we have tiny coal. More tiny coal is probably going to get pumped up as the cart goes around, and yeah, everything is working quite nicely. The only slight problem, it's not really a problem, but the slight quirk, I should say, of the system is that because we're using the same station to pick up iron as we are using to drop off coal for the drill, basically what happens here is the cart comes along to drop the coal off, and this hopper here, because it has no iron to drop, immediately emits a redstone signal and sends the cart going again. So the cart doesn't stop here long enough to actually pull that much stuff down. One thing we do need to do here is we do need to go ahead and lock that drawer to tiny coal, because if we don't do that, then this is going to happen, and the other cart that is supposed to pick up iron is instead going to drop iron ore off, which is not what we want. Thankfully, fairly easy to fix. We go ahead, we empty it, we lock it, we put the tiny coal in, and now that's not going to be a problem. We can put this iron ore back in here, and everything should work as intended. And so now, real quick, I'm going to go make one more storage door and do the same thing over at the copper ore to get that all set up, and then we'll look at moving on and getting a better storage solution up and running, because right now we are very low on storage space. My inventory is full of random junk, and I'm fed up of trying to drop a little bit of cobblestone to pick something else up and try and make everything work. Okay, so I've set this up over here. So this is now ready to go. I'm going to put some tiny coal in there. It's locked. It's got the downgrade. All the good stuff is going. I've set it to extract on the back here. The problem, though, and we do have a problem, is that I think we're going to have to set up 2 more stations, because right now I'm trying to do the loading and unloading on this one station, but I don't think it's going to work. The reason for that is that, as you can see here, this is our coal train. So it goes to coal pickup, iron pickup, copper pickup, and then refueling. We only want this to hold coal, but it currently is holding coal, and I just took this iron ore out, so it had iron ore and coal in it. The reason, again, for that is that it goes via the same station that unloads the iron as well. And so right now that's a problem because of the fact that there's no way to get rid of this iron ore, or at least I don't think there is. This cart does drive over the same empty cart hopper that takes iron ore out of the other cart, so it's quite possible that as it goes away, it might actually drop some of that iron off and might work just fine. But I think the optimal solution, it's quite possible that as it moved over this cart here, it did get rid of a little bit of the iron ore that it's holding. Let's quickly go see if there's actually any iron ore left in there now that it's gone round. There isn't, so it did get rid of it, and so that's not too bad. It's not ideal, though, and so I think going forward, also, if you ever do stop a cart, you need to make sure you get it going again, otherwise the whole system does kind of fall apart. Come on, guys, you got this. The whole point of the signals is to stop these collisions. There you go. There you go. You guys have got it. One of these guys should stop at the next signal and let the other guy go all the way to the next area. There we go. Look at that. He's waiting. His turn. Perfect. So it's not ideal, but I think for now it is actually kind of fine. I think it works okay. just because the iron ore comes in so slowly, and the same's true for the copper ore as well. But at some point, I might look at just adding a second station, kind of like what we've done with the refueling over there, so that we can have dedicated stations for ore and coal, but for now, I think it is fine. Anyway, let's head on back up to the surface, and now that that is up and running, and now that we're automatically getting copper and iron, and should be for the foreseeable future, let's see if we cannot get a simple storage network up and running. I completely forgot that this mod was in the pack until the Twitch chat reminded me, but this is going to make it a lot easier for us to search through all of the items we currently have, and it should also make just wireless access to all of that stuff a reality. So in order to get started, we need the storage network master. This is like the controller or the heart of the simple storage network. To make it, we need 4 blocks of quartz, 1 diamond, and 4 storage cable. So diamonds we of course have. We've got, I think, over half a stack of them over in here. Never mind, just under half a stack. And then I'm fairly certain that this drill over here, which between streams I have acquired a little bit of gold from, should also have some nether quartz. It doesn't. If I put some more fuel back in there, it's quite possible it might get us some nether quartz, but I think we also have a little bit. Whether or not we've got enough to make 4 blocks worth, which is only 16, is yet to be seen. We do. Perfect. We've got 20. Nice. Okay, so let's do this. That's going to get us the 4 blocks of nether quartz. Then the only thing we're missing is the 4 storage cable, which is actually super easy. It's stone slabs with iron ingots. So for that, we are going to need some regular stone, which thankfully we have ready to go. Let's take 6 of those, and if we do something like this, we get 8 storage cable, which we can then use to make the storage network master. Cool. So we'll put that down for now, right about here. And then the next thing that we're going to want to get is, I think, a remote, because the storage inventory in here I don't think is particularly useful for us. So we're going to need a remote. I think we're going to go for the advanced remote just because it's fairly cheap. To make the standard remote, you need glass, gold, and storage cable. We are missing 3 glass and 1 gold. The gold we do have, and then the glass we probably don't have because I have been using a fair bit of glass. I think I used the last of the glass that we had on making more of these item conduits for the drill coal. Again, not a problem. We can go ahead and do something like this, and then distribute those amongst the furnaces here. Again, here is all the gold that I was smelting to make the extra cart engine for our new cart underground. Once we've got 3 glass there, that should be that good to go. And then upgrading it to an advanced remote is just 4 diamonds. And so after we have the advanced remote, that's when we need storage link cable. The storage link cable is used to connect inventories to the network. It's made with more storage cable and another chest. And so let's go ahead quickly and make some more stone slabs. Might as well go ahead and make, let's say, 3 batches of those. And then we'll make as many cables as we can. From there, we'll go ahead and craft some of those to the storage link cable. So boom, there's some chests, and boom, there is some storage link cable. We might need more of this going forward, but for now, that should do the trick. There is more than enough glass. And so back over here, let's make the standard remote. And then after that, we should be able to very easily upgrade that to the advanced remote. To link this to the network, all you have to do is right-click it onto the storage network master, like so. It's now connection established. And so now all we need to do, if we right-click on this, we see there's nothing in here at all. And if we instead put down storage link cable here and here, we can then connect that to the storage network master via some regular storage cable. So we're going to do something like this and like this. So now that these are connected to the storage network master, and because our advanced storage remote is also connected to the storage network master, if we right click, we can now see all of the items in all of our connected chests inside of the remote. And one of the better features of it is the fact that we can actually search in here for what we have. So if we're looking for conveyor belts, for example, we can search and find those much, much faster than scouring through multiple chests. We can also go ahead and dump items in here. So if I take these logs and I put them up here, just left click and then left click again, it will take them and dump them wherever there is space. And of course, we can also take items out of here as well using the same method. You can shift click to pull a stack, or you can shift right click to pull just the one if that's what you're after. So this is pretty nifty, and it doesn't really solve our storage problems because we still don't have enough space available for all the stuff we want to store. But of course, what we can do now is we can go ahead and make some more iron chests. And another feature here is that we can just shift click straight from JEI. So if I want an iron chest, I can go ahead and do this. And so long as we have all of the items required in our connected chests, it will just work. And I can just craft more of these chests. We can then go ahead and place those down. Let's go ahead and move this guy for now, I guess. We'll do this and this. We'll do this and this. And so now we have access to all of these from anywhere, I'm pretty sure, actually. If I type in remote again, the standard remote has a 64 block radius, so you can go 64 blocks in any direction away from the storage network master. However, the advanced remote has unlimited distance access, and you can also access from across dimensions as well. I'm fairly certain that we don't have any use for the nether or the end in this pack, so I don't really think the dimensional access is going to be too useful for us, but just the fact that we can use it anywhere in the world is super useful. And of course, right here now, I can just go ahead and dump basically everything that we don't want to hold in our inventory into the system. And it's fine because if I'm out and about, you know, maybe I'm down in the underground station here and I need something, I can just open my system. And let's say I needed my rail configurator, I could just grab it wirelessly out of our chest, which is pretty nifty. Unfortunately, I'm fairly certain you can't connect multiple chests to one storage link, so whilst you could put multiple around here, it will only connect to one of them. For example, if I did this, you'll see it doesn't connect there, it only connects to the one at the bottom, so you do have to have one storage link cable per chest or per storage device. You can use any storage device that you like. Also, real quick, I am not a fan of JEI search enabled. If you have it enabled, whenever you type here, it will also type in JEI. I prefer to have that disabled because sometimes I quite like to be able to search for something here, like I go signal if I'm looking for certain recipes, and then I also quite like to be able to search in here as well. Just a preference there, but if you want it on, you can leave it on. I also like to sort by amount, so I like to see the item I have the most of at the top left and the amount I have least of at the bottom right as well. Again, just personal preference. And as I was saying, one thing you can do here as well is that you can actually use these for any storage device, or really anything that has an inventory. So if I were to make, for example, another storage drawer here for something like cobblestone, because we've got so much cobblestone, we could put that down over here. We could then put all of our cobblestone in here to free up some space inside of our chests. Again, it's going to be easier if I just grab all the cobblestone out of here, and it's going to be even easier if I just type in cobblestone and then grab it, because now I can dump all of that cobblestone into there, and if we make another link cable, we can then use that to connect that up to our system. Like so. Nice. And we can do the same thing, of course, with like another drawer for dirt and anything else that we have that, that takes a lot of space. Also, of course, we can do this, and although this now is getting a little bit janky, we can do something like this where we go ahead and connect up the iron and copper as well to the remote. And so now, like this, going forward, we have access to all of our iron and all of our copper remotely as well, which is pretty cool stuff. Of course, you do have to do this to actually get that copper connected as well. But this should make it a lot easier for us to craft anywhere going forward, and it's just a lot less tedious than the alternative. So now that that is taken care of, the next thing that I want to work on in today's episode is I want to try and replace our burner researchers here and potentially look at setting up some automation for the logistics research, because right now we have these burner researchers. We do have unlimited coal being made. That does remind me, we do have a problem over here that needs fixing. Right now, no more coal is being made because of the fact that we've backed up fully on sticks, which is not ideal here. So the sticks are being extracted, I think, on the brown line. They are, and then they're being inserted here as well. So I think probably what we're going to have to do here is there's two things we could do. We could put a drawdown initially just to give us a bit of a buffer. That's going to give us more time to make coal before we run into the same problem again. I do have enough wood, thankfully. Let's do something like this and like this, and then we can drop that down for now somewhere over here. If we put it down like right there, and we set that to insert on the brown channel, that should start getting sticks. Again, we can lock that to sticks. I don't think that the void upgrade is easy to make. Never mind, it totally is. This is completely fine. So what we can do here is we can make a void upgrade. And again, I've got to get used to not coming back over here to do my crafting because I can now do it using the advanced storage remote. But if we do this, we get a void upgrade. The void upgrade will destroy excess items. So this drawer can hold 2048 sticks. Once we have more than that, it will just delete any excess sticks. Now, what we do want to do here is in the insert page, we want to set the priority of this to like negative anything. -1 would work as well, but you want to make sure this priority is lower than this priority. And again, just to be safe, I'm going to set the priority here to something like 20. Basically, we want the sticks to go here as a last resort. If there are no sticks in here, we want the sticks to go here first and then go here. Thankfully, unlike with other things in the pack, like these pipes here, the end IO conduits are quite smart and are quite configurable in that you can configure the priority in the pipes, whereas with these pipes, you have to just make them longer and put the thing that you want them to go to last further away. Thankfully, not too bad with this, and so this should work and should keep this thing going because now the sticks have a place to go, and we should once again be making more coal coke and more coal, which is going to keep our trains going, keep our iron coming in, keep our copper coming in, and all that good stuff. So now that's taken care of, let's look at upgrading these. So at the end of the last episode, we did unlock the research for the basic researcher, and much like with the burner researchers, all we have to do is type in researcher into JEI, and there is just a capsule that we can use, the research capsule, to autocraft and build a regular researcher. For this, we need another multi-block capsule base, which is just a bunch of machine casing, which is just a bunch of modularium and copper. Between streams, I did put even more iron and even more redstone into our alloy kiln, and so we do have a fair bit of modularium ready to go here, and so if we do something like this with the copper in the middle there, we can get a fairly decent amount of machine casing, craft that into the multi-block capsule, and then craft that into the researcher capsule. For that, we are going to need some steel sheet metal. That does require steel plates. Again, very doable. I do believe we have a hammer. It just didn't want to shift-click it in there. That's fine. And you do get quite a bit of sheet metal, I think 4 per craft there, which is not quite enough. That's fine. We can grab the hammer again and do 4 more here. I should probably get even more steel cooking, although I do think that we have some in here. We do. Nice. I think it's 2 stacks should be enough for today. And so back in here, let's go ahead and craft up 1 more set of steel sheet metal, and then let's see if we can't also get a set of steel fences. For that, we need steel rods. Those are also easy enough for us to make. Boom, and boom. Nice. So this thing is a little bit bigger, if memory serves me right. It is indeed. Again, we can left-click to rotate it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to tear down one of these burner researchers. These are not going to be needed going forward. And I'm going to put our first electric researcher down in its place. So this one I want to put down with those 3 green ports facing forward. That's 2 tiny inputs and 1 small input. And so this is the actual researcher. I guess this is kind of technically the front, but again, I think it's going to be easier if we have access to all 3 of these inputs on the same side, which is here, and not on this side, which is going to be like next to another machine. And so now we can do the same craft that we've been doing here, but just without the coal, which is perfect. All we have to do is connect this up to power using yet another one of our LV wire connectors, and of course, some more LV wire coil. Now, there is a limit to how far these can go. I think this should be close enough, although it might be like 16 blocks. Yeah, it's just a little bit too far away. Do we have more wooden posts available? We totally do. Nice. And so you don't have to do these in a straight line. I just think they look nicer in a straight line like this. And if we can get our relay on top of that, which of course we can do because these are climbable, which is something I keep forgetting. There we go. We can then connect from here to here, and we can connect from here over to here. Nice. Back over here, this now has redstone flux in it. It's ready to go. And so if we were to grab an iron plate along with a conveyor belt, we should be able to put one of those in here and here. You could put them in any of these, by the way. You could also put it in the small item hatch. Either of those would work. You'll see both of those got eaten up over in here. You'll see the process is on its way, and eventually it will output a logistics research into the tiny item output. So now the question is, can we automate this? And I think the answer is yes. We have managed to fully automate iron and copper. So these are both coming in automatically. I can't help but notice that we're not getting any copper ore, which makes me think that whilst iron has been automated, let me go do a little bit of troubleshooting and see why copper isn't. All right, so it turned out that we actually fully used up all of the copper in this chunk, and so I have temporarily, and by temporarily I mean I guess somewhat permanently, moved the drill just to 1 chunk back. And so now over in here, we do have a fair bit of copper. Again, we've got 3,000 more copper and a bit of aluminum, although this drill can't mine the aluminum, so it's just going to get copper. This one right here only has aluminum. We've got rid of all the copper in it. And eventually we're going to swap over to the electric drills, so we won't have to do things like this super long ender IO conduit here. Right now, this conduit, again, is just taking the tiny coal over to the drill. And again, to not have to move the train station, I've gone ahead and just added a bit of a belt from here over to the pre-existing chest, which for now I think is going to get the job done and is going to keep copper coming in. There's probably a more elegant solution to that, but we'll look into that in the future. Back over here, as I mentioned, I now want to look at using the automated iron and copper that we have to automate logistics research. So for that, we're going to need a metal press. The metal press is unlocked up here. We have metalworking. It says ingots and isonols, but I also need alloys, plates, rods, and wires. This tree deals with ways to produce all of them. We need a metal press. For that, we need 16 logistics research. We have 8 logistics research, and so, actually, never mind, we have 9 logistics research because we also have one in here. I don't have another one, do I? I don't. I was thinking I might have had an 8x1 lying around, but that's fine. We need to get 7 more logistics research. That is completely fine. Let's get 7 more conveyor belts, which we don't have because we just used them all making that new setup, but we should be able to get fairly easily. For that, we just need 2 lots of copper gears, and that should be enough for 8 conveyor belts. It is indeed. And then other than that, we just need iron plates. Again, I'm going to use this until it breaks. 7 is perfect. Fantastic. All right, let's distribute those amongst... I guess we could put them all in here. It's just a little slow. I will definitely put at least 1 in here. But I guess for the rest of these, we are still going to have to go back and also use a little bit of coal as well. Again, thankfully, bang on 7. And there we go. Not too long later, we now have 16 logistics research. And so we can go ahead and unlock the metal press. As a reward here, we do get a plate mold and a gear mold. Those are the 2 that we need. And now we just need to build the actual metal press. Now, I think the way this works is we do have the blueprint here, which makes it easier to put a lot of them down. But if you left-click it, it tells you what you need to build it. We need 1 piston, 1 redstone engineering block. Let me bookmark that redstone engineering block. We need 1 heavy engineering block and 2 steel scaffolding. Heavy engineering block and then steel scaffolding, along with 1 piston. Just A, by the way, when hovering over things to bookmark them if you're not aware of that. And so piston, easy enough. Just need 1 redstone. Our redstone is all the way over here. Again, one thing I'll probably do soon is look at adding the burner drill over here that's getting diamonds and redstone to the underground rail network so we can start bringing those in and storing them in their own respective storage drawers as opposed to using this kind of janky halfway chest that isn't currently even doing anything because the cart isn't picking anything up because there's no drill in the burner. And so once we run out of redstone here, we are going to have to get that sorted out. For now, though, we only need 1 redstone, and boom, there's a piston. Now that I say that, I do want 2 of these, and so we're actually going to make 2 pistons. Perfect. We then needed 2 redstone engineering blocks. Thankfully, these are made in sets of 2. Easy enough. 2 heavy engineering blocks. These are a little bit more expensive. Here, we do need some electrum, which we can make by alloying gold and silver together. Again, thankfully, we do get 2 of those at a time, and I'm pretty sure, although I am going to check, that we only need 1 per metal press. We do indeed. I also think we need conveyor belts, but I think we already have them, which is why it's not showing them here. So I'm pretty sure we need at least 2 more because you need 2 conveyor belts per metal press. So I'm going to do that to allow us to make both of them. And so now it's just a case of getting those steel components. Let's get 1 silver and 1 gold. We actually don't have any silver, which makes sense. We've not actually gotten any yet. That's fine. Let me get my seismic reader out and let's see if we can't find any silver nearby. So we do have some silver, not in particularly large quantities, and it's actually quite far out. So we're going to have to go and I think once again move this drill over here and put it down real far back where the silver is. We only need the 1 piece. So in theory, we could use the one that we have here, but practically, I don't think that's the best idea. I think instead we'll just take this drill, we'll take a little bit of coal here and turn that into tiny coal, of course, to give fuel, and it shouldn't take us too long to get just a couple of pieces of silver. Okay, so there's a lot less silver than copper in this chunk, apparently, but I do have 1 extra silver here, and so we should now be able to smelt that down and then make the electrum. And after that, I think it's just a case of once again using our engineer's workbench to allow us to more efficiently get the steel components required. So let's do... I guess, this, because you have space inside of you. That's fine. And then as soon as that's smelted, we'll take it out. Over here, we need some steel. We've actually got loads of it on us. That is perfect. And so we just need 2 steel mechanical components, which means we need 4 steel plates and 2 copper. 2 copper, super easy. And then 4 steel plates, also not particularly difficult. However, I do think we are now fully out of engineer's hammers. And so we are going to have to use the somewhat inefficient method of crafting 3 iron plates into 2 hammers and then crafting that with a stick. Thankfully, this should be the last time we have to do that, because once we have the metal press, we can use that to craft a 1 iron ingot into 1 iron plate forever. We don't have to worry about using an iron hammer to get maximum efficiency. Over here, let's do this and this. We'll take 2, 3, 4 of those. And then in here, we'll do this and this. Take 2 of these. And boom, yep, we're just missing the electrum, which should be done over here. It is. Nice. Okay, I think that is basically everything we need. Oh no, the steel scaffolding, of course. Right, yes. So the piston we did make is just in the... Oh no, the piston we made, but then it got used. I see. Okay, let me get 2 more pistons then. That does require yet more oak, which we unfortunately do not have. And then after that, we just need the steel scaffolding, which I think is just steel crafted. So we should have everything we need there. Let's have a look. Steel scaffolding. We need, yep, steel ingots and steel rods. Steel rods we can make. Steel scaffolding we can also make. I'll get 12 just in case we need a fair bit of it. And then let's do something like this to free up inventory space. And let's do this and this. Okay, so my thought process here now is that we want to put down 2 metal presses. Now, I think I probably want to embed these in the ground a little bit. And I probably want to line them up with the input hatches here. So if I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, something like this, what we should be able to do is load up the blueprint for the metal press. Perfect. And then right click it down like so. So this does go underground, like the way I've built it here. If I do this, you'll see the metal press is like a 3x3 multi-block, but I've decided to embed it in the ground here. You'll see either side we have the steel scaffolding. You don't have to use the blueprint capsule. You can just put these down individually, and it will also work. Once it's down, you right-click on the piston with the engineer's hammer, and it's good to go. I just think it looks a lot better in the ground here. So this one works in the same way. Left-click to rotate, right-click to place it down, and then right-click with the hammer to complete it. Nice. So these do require power. That is not a problem. We have LV wire connectors. We have some more uninsulated wire. Do we not have any more industrial hemp fiber? We don't. However, I'm fairly certain that, yeah, these are all fully grown now, so we might as well do a quick harvest just to make sure that we don't get electrocuted going forward. I want to do 1 of these. Fantastic. And then from there, we can just do 1 and 2. The power does have to come in from the top, so these do have to go in this exact spot. And then we can go boom, 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 boom. These are both going to get power. We want 1 of these to make iron plates, and we want the other one to make copper gears. Nice. And so now the general premise here is that if I take an iron plate and I drop it onto this belt, ideally onto the belt, it's going to get sent through and kaplunked into an iron plate. Nice. And we can do the same with the copper as well. If we go and grab, and by go and grab, I mean grab it out of here. If we grab at least, I think, 4 copper ingots, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, never mind, it's 2, so it's more efficient, I see. So the regular recipe is, of course, 4 copper makes 1 gear, whereas in the metal press, it only takes 2 copper to make the 1 gear as well. Interesting. So now, there's a few things that we need to do to get this up and running. So the iron plates here, we need to do 2 things, right? Because it's not just iron plates and copper gears we need iron plates and we need conveyor belts. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to craft the copper gear with some iron to make the conveyor belts. For that, we're going to need another workbench. Do I have a spare workbench in here? I do indeed. Fantastic. So if I do this would work. However, like I could put the copper here and have it pumped in, and then it would go in here. However, if we ever back up on copper, this is going to cause a problem. And I think that's going to be a running theme here, because right now we don't have very sophisticated ways of moving like our iron and copper around, which is not ideal. Our only option really is the item conduits, which I think is what we're going to have to use, and it's definitely going to be a little bit janky. In here, this is easy enough. We just do this, and we do this. And so now there are slots allocated to copper gears and to iron ingots. That's perfect. I do think that we can do... I think what we can do is if we take the recipe away, we can fill this with junk. And by junk, I just mean anything that isn't iron or copper. The reason we want to do that is just, again, to make sure that we don't end up needlessly filling up all of these slots with a bunch of iron and a bunch of copper that we could otherwise use for crafting other stuff. So if you fill this all with, cobblestone or dirt or anything like that, and then you put the recipe back in, so 1, 2, and 3, now that's going to leave these empty and it's not going to fill up all of these slots with iron or copper, but it is going to make the conveyor belts, and then from there we can just pump those over into the researcher. So to make any of this work, we're going to need more item conduits. Right now, do we have any item conduits left? We do not. That's fine. We got 8 here. That's fine. We can do this. We can set you to extract, always active, set you to insert, and now we're going to have conveyor belts pumped into there once they're made in here. Perfect. Now, I think what we're going to want to do here is potentially have some kind of storage drawer that we can drop down here. The reason that I want a storage drawer is that I need a way to stop the metal press receiving more stuff. And so my thought process here is that if we get a hopper, we can use the hopper on this side to feed into the metal press. The idea behind the hopper, though, is that if you apply a redstone signal to the hopper, it's going to stop the hopper from actually giving any of the copper to the metal press. So if we quickly grab some sticks, which I was going to craft, but we actually have tons of them over here, which we might as well go ahead and use. So if we do this, what we should be able to do is put this down next to this, and now if I put copper in here, that doesn't get fed, which is perfect. The problem we run into here, though, is that I don't think the hopper can effectively pump in when the metal press needs more than one input, which it does in this case, it needs 2. So over here, if I do this, if I do it on this side, I think the iron will work. Oh, I compressed Z as well, by the way, to make the minimap bigger, I guess. But over on this side, if I put in iron, that works because the iron only needs 1 ingot to make the sheet, whereas over here it needs 2, and the hopper can only provide 1 at a time. The same problem arises, though, because we don't want to turn all of our iron into plates. We only want as much iron as is needed to make the research. So real quick, let me go get some more wood. Let me make some more storage drawers. The idea, by the way, is that you can make a redstone upgrade for the storage drawers, and essentially they're going to emit a redstone signal when full. And so when this gets full, the idea is that we're going to utilize the redstone signal coming off of this to tell the hopper to not send any more in. And in doing so, that's going to stop all of the copper gears and iron plates from kind of just pooling up. Because if this fills up and we keep sending copper, the copper will just kind of sit here, which is not ideal. All right, so a little bit of wood later. We now have more storage drawers here. The Twitch chat has pointed out that you can actually just apply a redstone signal to the metal press, as long as you apply it to this bottom center block, and it will stop the metal press working. You'll see here that if the redstone signal is activated, it just stops the press, which is actually perfect. So we're going to do a few things. We're going to put a basic drawer here. This is going to store the iron plates. Over here, we're going to have other drawers like this, and we'll also do the same over here. I don't think these can pull out, actually, right? No, they can't. That's fine. Again, for the plates, this will work. It'll pull the iron ingots down and around onto the metal press. But for this, we're going to have to use a conduit. And you know what? Just for continuity and to stop resources backing up, I'll use conduits on both of these. I'll do this, and then let's go ahead and use the carry-on mod to quickly move that out of the way. Do this, and do this. Then, utilizing our Yeta wrench, we can shift left click. Up, we're going to set to extract, always active. And then east, we're going to set to insert, like that. And then we'll do the same over here. Up, extract, always active, and east, insert. So now, if I put 2 copper ingots in here, 1, 2, those are ready now to go down here. And if this was off, it should make more gears. Cool. So the same thing should be true over on the iron side as well. If I put some iron in here, that iron should get taken, should get turned into plates, and should get dropped off over there. Perfect. Now what we want to do is 2 things. The first thing we want to do is make 2 more storage downgrades. Just like we did at the start of the episode, these are going to allow us to limit the amount of excess copper and iron that sit in these drawers. Again, we don't really want to to have all of our copper and all of our iron turned into gears and plates. We only want as much as is needed. And so what we're going to do, once again, grab some cobble, craft that with the hammer. We need 12 gravel here that we can then craft into 4. Actually, I might even get more than that. I might get 24 gravel because I think I also want to put a downgrade on the 2 drawers in front here. So we want 4 storage downgrades. Once we've got all the gravel, we can then craft that into flint, and then that should be enough to craft the downgrades. We are, of course, going to need more of the upgrade templates, and for that, we need to craft just yet more storage drawers. So let's get yet more chests, and then yet more planks, and then boom, boom, and boom. We'll craft a few extra just in case we need them. And there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice. So let's upgrade all of these with downgrades. I'm also going to go ahead and lock those just to play it safe. So now that those are all set up, what we need to get is yet another upgrade. That is the redstone upgrade. So down here, there is the redstone upgrade that emits a signal for the total storage. There is the redstone max upgrade, emits a signal for the most full slot. And the redstone min upgrade emits a signal for the least full slot. I think that we might want to get emits a signal for the most full slot, although actually I think the normal redstone signal might do it here. Emits signal for total storage. So if I make one of these, which does require yet again another upgrade template here, we should be able to put these into the drawer and now have them emit redstone signal equal to their fullness. And one thing that we might also be able to do here is actually get redstone conduits, which are other conduits from Ender.io that carry redstone. And that just makes it a little easier to move the redstone around instead of using actual redstone. So I think if we do something like this, that doesn't connect there, but if I right-click with the Yeta wrench, you can force it to connect, and then we want to set this to input. So actually, no, sorry, we want to set that to output, like that, and make sure it's on the same color as the input, which over here is red. So the input signal color is red. Down here, the input signal color is also going to be red just as soon as we connect that up and turn the input off, like that. We'll do the same thing on the other side here. So we're going to get rid of this, and then we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Right-click right here with the Yeta wrench. Make sure this is set to red. Leave the output ticked. Untick the input. Perfect. Over here, this is set to input. So we're getting input is where you get the signal from, and then output is where you send it to. So I think this is correct. The question now is I wonder how much stuff we have to put in the drawer before it triggers. It might be full. If I unlock it and I take the copper gear out, we could then go ahead and grab something like cobblestone just to get an idea of what we need here. So if I put a full stack of cobblestone in there, that should be emitting the maximum redstone signal there. And that could be working. The copper's kind of just shaking there. If I take the cobblestone out, it works. Interesting. So this is actually potentially ideal. Right now, the way it's working is that if there is just even one copper gear in here, it stops the system working. But that's kind of fine. We never need more than one copper gear in here. It does mean that we don't need the downgrade in here, so you can shift right-click, by the way. Make sure you're far enough away. Obviously, if you shift right-click too close, you're going to pick the drawer up. But if you shift right-click from far away, you can see the upgrades you have installed. And so this is fine completely. We can take the cobblestone out. We can put that in, and then we can once again lock that to the copper gear. And now we can put as much copper as we want in this drawer because it's not going to do anything until this gear gets used, which is perfect. So this should also be doing the same thing. We could put as much iron as we like into the iron drawer there. Perfect, 54. And again, that's not going to do anything until this plate gets used. So now there's two things we want to do. We want to take the copper gears out of this drawer and pump them into the workbench. So here, extract, always active, and here, insert. That's going to take the copper gear, place it in here, start making belts. Perfect. Those belts are going to end up in the researcher. Over here, we're going to need more conduits, but we want to send these iron plates over into the researcher. And then there's one more thing we need to do, and that's, of course, get iron into this auto workbench, which shouldn't be too difficult. Let's set you to extract, always active. Let's get rid of this. Let's set you to insert. You should start receiving iron plates any second now. It did. Perfect. And so now we need a lot more conduits, actually. How many of these can we make? The answer is 15, because I think now we need to get the iron from this drawer over to here. And unfortunately, The simple storage network mod in this pack has been kind of kneecapped a little bit. Normally there's an exporter cable that you can use, but that has been removed in this pack. So we could manually move over copper and iron as and when we wish, but you'll see that we've actually filled up on iron here, which is not ideal. So what I think we're going to do is dig underground a little bit, and people did ask if we could move these conduits underground to hide them. We definitely could. So what we'll probably end up doing is making some more of these, because we're going to need more if we're going to move them underground. But if we get, let's say, 2 more lots of those, which does require more glass, and so real quick, let's get cobble, let's hammer that into gravel, and then hammer that into sand. We're not too far away, I don't think, from being able to automate this process. Once we unlock pulverizers, we should be able to set up an automated system for cobble to gravel, gravel to sand, and then if we wanted to, we could also automate the smelting of sand into glass. It looks like we do already have some sand in here. We just need to actually go about smelting it, which does require more coal, which is fine because we should have, hopefully, a decent amount of coal backed up over here. We do indeed. I'll take 2 stacks of tiny coal and get those going over here. Boom, and boom, good stuff. And we'll use that shortly to hide these conduits. But speaking of hiding conduits, the plan over here is, I think, to dig down. I do want to go 2 blocks down. We are going to run into a slight issue of the train station under there. But my thought process is that we can extract from the bottom here, like that, and then run that cable underground over to this drawer. So for that, we're going to go ahead and dig down here, like that. And what we'll do is we'll run this cable down, like this, and then we'll try and connect that up to these cables over here, and we'll also run this along, and we should be able to connect up the same cable on this side. So we're going to run from here down, like this, and then across like that. So those are connected. And the idea here, by the way, is that we're going to set this to extract, but we're going to change it to, let's say, the orange channel for copper, right? Always active. And then over on this side, over here, again, shift left click, we're going to set the upside to insert on the orange channel. And that way, that's not going to interfere with the extracting into the belt, and that should just work perfectly. And then here we'll do the same thing. We'll set the upside to insert on, let's say, light gray for iron. And then over here, we'll do the same thing again. We will shift left click, set that to extract on light gray, always active. And so now we just need to hook that up. I think we are a couple of conduits shy. Thankfully, we are cooking glass, and we have a decent amount of steel. And so if we do something like this and like this, we should then be able to head down into our underground station and just run this all the way along to here. So I'm going to do this, and then we're just going to dig out the roof a little bit here. In the future, I do plan on making this underground station look a little bit nicer, and we can use conduit facades to cover up these conduits and make them look a little bit nicer down here as well. But those should be connected, and so if we go and check, we should see iron and copper moving in to these storage drawers. It is. Cool. And so now we can just cover the ground up again, and we shouldn't really see any of the monstrous mess that we've just made. If we do something like this and this, that's all covered up, and we're not going to see it. Again, you can see it here, of course, but we could cover those up in the future using conduit facades. That's these guys right here. They require clay and sand, really not too difficult to make. And yeah, so now we're automatically sending copper and iron over to here. The final piece of the puzzle, actually, is going to be to also send iron over to here, and that's just going to be the exact same process here. We're going to dig down into our minecart system, and we're just going to dig a tunnel that goes from the bottom of there all the way along and connects to the main pipeline. Annoyingly, we are 1 conduit shy. Boom. And again, here we're going to set this to insert on the light gray channel. So it shouldn't get anything else that isn't just iron ingots. And with that, I think we have basically automated the production of logistics research, because now the copper should be being turned into the right stuff. I'm not quite sure why there are iron ingots there. Oh, I see the problem here, of course. The problem here is that here we're using orange to extract from here this way. Okay, I see the problem. All we need to do is disconnect here and disconnect here. The problem there is that here we're extracting on the green channel, right? So here, if I shift left click and go to up, it's inserting on the light gray channel, but it's extracting on the green channel. And both here and here, we were inserting on the green channel, which is not what we want to do. So we have inadvertently made some copper plates and iron gears. That's fine. Those might come in useful in the future. All we need to do to fix that, we could either use yet another channel to make that work. Alternatively, though, I think the easier solution is going to be to do this. And I was hoping I could go down to there. I guess I can't, though, which is unfortunate. Chat makes a good point, actually. We can just get rid of the drawers. The drawers are unnecessary middlemen here, I think. And so if we just move these out, because of the system we've chosen, we should just be able to reconnect that, like so, and just set that to insert on light gray, like that. And it does mean we're not going to have a buffer, and you can just right-click, by the way, like this to get that to reconnect. But here, we're just going to set you to insert on orange. And yeah, there's no need for the buffer drawers here. That is fine. We'll get rid of those, and we can just re-add all of that stuff back into our network, which we'll do via the remote. If I'm not mistaken, if we right-click on this, you can set the priority of the storage link cable. And you'll see that going up demotes the priority, and going down increases the priority. It says lower goes first. So if I set this to -5, it means that any iron that I put in the system should try and go here first. Of course, this is full, and so that iron probably ended up in a chest, which is not ideal. We should probably look at upgrading the storage capacity of this drawer, but just to be safe, we do want to make sure we set these to a lower priority than these, because lower priority means higher priority, and so we want stuff to go there first where possible. And we'll put this copper away as well. We can then unlock both of these, boom and boom, and use those in the future for other stuff. But I think that this should be working. Over here, this guy is receiving iron ingots because it's sent on the light gray channel. We can, of course, go ahead and fill in the ground again like that. And yeah, this, I think, is basically logistics research fully automated. We have conveyor belts being made, we have iron plates being made, and over here, we are making logistics research automatically. And so if we go and quickly steal one of these drawers here, if I do something like that to clear it out, I can pick this up, and we can actually just go put that on the backside of the researcher, and all of our research can then go directly into that drawer. So I do kind of want it to go the other way around, if possible, which might necessitate me picking it up and putting it back down, like that. But we can put yet another conduit down between the researcher and the drawer, like this. Obviously set you to extract, always active, set you to insert, and yeah, we've got a place for our logistics research to go. I can go ahead and take the storage downgrade out of that now, although it might not be a terrible idea. Actually, you know what? No, it's fine. I think we do want more than 64 logistics research, and basically now, going forward, what we can do is we can go ahead and build more of these. Obviously, we can tear down more of the burner researchers, build more regular researchers, and then just set these here to round robin and round robin, and then we can use that to distribute all of the iron and all of the conveyor belts between as many of these electric researchers as we like. For now, one is going to do the trick. We're going to slowly but surely get logistics research, but if we find ourselves in need of a lot more logistics research, which, as I've showed before, is something we're going to need as we progress forward in the pack, we can look at adding more electric researchers to make the research production even faster, but that is a problem for future Isaac. For now, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this episode of Feed the Factory there.